Pika Pika! You're watching Linda the Gamer Girl! Pika Pika! Pika! Pika Pika!
So guys, this is a response to Richard Dubya. He made a video about 5 games that he could have if all of his collection was wiped out and that was the only games he could play. And I had to really dig deep to figure out what 5 games could I keep playing that were the only games I was allowed to play for the rest of my life. The first one is Pride Fighting Championships. This one is the better version, in my opinion, as far as fighting games. If you look at UFC and if you look at a lot of other fighting games, the mechanics are always a little wonky. And the one thing that I've noticed with Pride Fighting is, even though they're a little bit wonky, they're not as bad. And the one thing I loved about it was the career mode and all the characters and all the fighters that are included in this version. You got Ken Shamrock, you got a ton of, lights out people that are vastly underrated and were in Pride Fighting Championships. Unfortunately, they got taken out and put under. And the one thing I loved about Pride Fighting Championships over the other ones is the training simulators is way better than the other versions. UFC and the other fighting championships games, they all took notes from this, because when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, I get to train, I get to do other things, but this one actually brought in legit trainers that were good, that would tell you how to fix your style and everything like that. And yes, I will say the future ones did do that, but that was because UFC always took out their competition, and anybody who opposed them, they would just wipe them clean. So that tells you that Pride Fighting Championships was doing something right. So the second game that I am going to talk about is Dishonored. Dishonored Definitive Edition, the storyline that is so unique and versatile that it can do so many things in so many ways to beat any level. That is one thing I loved about it, was you can literally go stealth mode the whole time and try to not get detected by anybody, and that was an achievement or a trophy. Or you could just go run and gun and go crazy on every single person, and there was so many ways to kill the person or not kill the person. There were so many ways to go in and out of each scenario. And the one thing I loved about the game was, even if you play the game once, you had to play the game the correct way. It wasn't like you could cheat and go through and be like, okay, so if the lady is in the red or the lady is in this and that's how you beat them. They would randomize the whole situation. So if you came in the first time and the lady was wearing red, the next time the lady might be wearing white or black, or you don't know if it's back to red. So you had to go through the scenarios and talk to everybody and figure it out. And you had to watch out for every single enemy, because each enemy could detect any simple thing. Another thing was I loved that there was multiple endings in this game. Whatever you did, however you did anything, would change and it would have a butterfly effect to the very end. And you could 100% the game and still go back and play it again and have a different ending, have a different way everything is changed. Also, there was some Easter eggs, there was some funny scenarios and some side quests that kept you going. And I could delete the whole game and come back to it and never get tired of this game. And the next game is Tekken Tag Tournament. This is my favorite version as far as any of the Tekkens, because of the simple fact that this was the first one that allowed you to have a tag team scenario. And I love Tekken. It was one of my first fighting games that I ever got to play and actually play, because there wasn't no blood, no guts, no gore. If they got hit, you just saw a little puff of whatever smoke it was, and that was it. And the one thing is, I love that there was multiple endings for each character, and I would play through and try to beat every single character to the end of the end boss to get each ending. And each ending was vastly different. And it was so funny, because if you won with, say, the two sisters, Nina, and Nina's character would be completely different. And you go back and the one thing was I loved was it was parallels. Nina could be with Jin, and that's what I loved about it. And the one thing is you could delete your save states and go straight back to the beginning and do it all over again and not get tired with it. And this was the point when they started adding a lot more characters. I love the kangaroo, I love the panda, and they all had a different fighting style that you had to memorize and master. And that was even though it was hours, it was fun. Like, so on to the next game, and that is Hitman. Just like some of the other games, Hitman has many scenarios where you go in and you're going to a big, vast open world of many places to go to. And it could be Colorado, it could be you're ending up in somebody's lair, and the whole time you have to figure out where you're gonna go, and it doesn't handhold you at all. You walk in, they tell you what the situation is, who you have to go get rid of, and you figure it out from there. You can go in, walk in, and like Dishonored, go in stealth mode the whole time, get undetected, and walk out like nobody saw you. Or you can go in and totally just destroy everything and everyone in your path. And yeah, it'll be a little bit harder, but it's fun. So that's the one thing I love about Hitman is you don't know where to go, and you can come back to it and do the same scenario and see many different ways to just go through. Like, you can literally go through and see there's a surgeon's table. How do I get to this surgeon's table? Oh, you can go underground, go on top, or just go straight in and hope for the best. And that's why I always can go back to Hitman and play it over and over again. And it's challenging, and it's like, you don't know. You could be like, okay, so let me see what this does. And it literally could be an hour's wait just to do something. And there's many trophies in this one where you're like, can I really do that? And then you do it and you're like, yep, that was fun. Let's try it again. And that was what I loved about Hitman. And finally, the last game on the list is Saints Row the Third. And you're probably saying, yep, I was waiting for that one. That or Crash Bandicoot. And I had to make the hard decision because, unfortunately, yes, I love Crash Bandicoot, but I will say Crash does get old sometimes. But the one thing I love about Saints Row is the vast endings and the way everything could change. Saints Row, you're the boss and you're going through and you have to make decisions, and each decision will change how the map is, will change how people react to you, and it will also change how everything is in the world around you. So if you go through and say, it says, would you like to keep this building or would you like to destroy it, and it's your enemy's building, and you destroy it, that whole map will be disintegrated. Or if you keep it, that's your new layer. And that's the one thing is it tells you to, if you want 100% it, you have to play it as the female character and the male character. If you want to do something, you have to go back and do it again in a different way. And that's what I love about it is you can 100% it also, and that takes a long time. Like, some people, they can do it within a few minutes, but it's a lot of tedious, like, grinding through everything, going through and be like, okay, I gotta do this many hours of this many times with this. And that's what I love about it is because I can delete it, start up again, and it feels fresh and new. And the music, like when you're driving through the radio stations, you could just listen to the radio stations for hours and laugh your head off because you're like, no way did this make it in the game. Oh yeah, it did. It did make it in the game. And that's what I love about it. It's one of those things where you're like, okay, I gotcha. You know, I can just cruise through the whole streets, see how everybody's interacting with each other, and come back. Okay guys, so those are my 5 games if I had to pick 5 and the rest of my collection went bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you're new, please subscribe. I am going to put a link for Richard W's channel and the original video. Go check it out. If you like his content, please subscribe. As always, keep on gaming, everybody. Catch you later.